All right, if you have your Bibles, let's go ahead and open those up today. We're going to be in Philippians chapter 4. Philippians chapter 4, we're going to look at verse 11 through 13. And today this week, we're going to be wrapping up our study, How to Discover and Walk in the Will of God. You know, one of the very important things as we study this is that you realize that God's will for your life is not a destination externally, but it's a work that he wants to do in you. You know, God's word is God's will. If you lose sight of that, you're going to start to go down rabbit trails where you become the vessel that has to rightly discern what you think you hear God saying, as opposed to reading God's word, doing what he says, and allowing the Lord to direct your path. And today, it's very important we understand this, because what we're going to study today, look at in our devotion, is God's will is that you and I would persevere through hard things. You know, we live in a culture where if something is hard in front of us, we're being told, just navigate away from it. You know, if there's a hard difficulty in front of you, just don't go through it. But our Bible tells us differently, right? Psalm 23, the Lord is a good shepherd, but he says, as I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. And this is important for our study today. Paul the apostle, he's writing this epistle of joy, Philippians, from a prison cell, and he says, not that I speak in regard to need. Need is a very unique word, because you could be listening to today's devotion and be a multimillionaire and think, I need a new boat. Or you could be listening to today's devotional and you could be in poverty. You have a little bit of food in your fridge and you're happy because you know what? You paid the rent this month. And you're going, I don't really have need of anything. Paul says, not that I speak in regard to need. Paul's saying, I'm not telling you this because I need something from you. He says, I have learned in whatever state I am to be content. Now note that there, understand this. This is something that if Paul the apostle had to learn it, you are going to have to learn it, right? Nobody's born this way. We're born to be discontent. We're born to look at the Joneses and say, I don't have what they have, meaning I'm not happy until I get that, right? And God says, that's not how this works. Paul says, I've learned by the Spirit, through the Word, to be content. Whatever state I am, I've learned that's what I need to seek after, to be connected to Jesus, to be right with God, to be growing in godliness, and to be content to realize what God has provided for me, it's plenty. It's more than I deserve. Verse 12, I know how to be abased, he says, and I know how to abound. Paul says, I know how to do this Christian life with very limited resources. And I also know how to do this Christian life in ministry with great resources and rightly appropriate them and do what I'm supposed to do with them. He says, everywhere and in all things, I have learned both to be full and to be hungry, both to abound, to suffer need, Paul says. I've been there. Verse 13, this is the big verse. He says, I can do all things, listen, through Christ who gives me strength. Paul says, I can do all things through Christ who gives me strength. Paul has given us a secret here. The Holy Spirit is breathing out the word of God to us here and telling us if the resource well that we turn to is our own resources, if it's our own determination, our own ambition, our own understanding, if our resource well that we turn to draw our life from is the world's, it's human psychology, it's man's ideology. Paul is saying, like Jeremiah said in chapter 2, it's a broken cistern that can hold no well, no water. But if our resource, Paul says, is Jesus Christ, if we turn to him for those resources, if our resource is Jesus Christ, then we can't run out of resource. We can say like Paul, I can do all things through Christ who gives me strength. If you take this verse and you eat it and it becomes sweet in your mouth and bitter in your belly, if you allow it to work in you, you're going to realize no matter what circumstance I am in, I can persevere, I can trust the Lord because I can do all things through Christ who gives me strength. You can rely on the Lord today. You could take the power cord of your life, plugging it into Jesus. In order to do that, you got to take it out of the things you're plugged into now, plug it into Jesus, and he's got all the power you need. All the power you need. So today, that is God's will for your life, that you would learn to persevere through hard times through Jesus Christ who strengthens you. And Father, bless your people. May they persevere wherever they're at, whatever trial they're facing. May they persevere through it. Trust you in the midst of it. And Lord, like Paul, may they be able to say, I can do all things through Christ who gives me strength. In Jesus' name, amen.